John's eyes slowly opened, groggily taking in his surroundings. He was lying in a hotel bed, with no recollection of how he got there. Panic set in as he scrambled to remember anything about his life. But his mind was a complete blank. He stumbled out of bed, staggering to the bathroom to splash water on his face. As he looked in the mirror, he barely recognized the person staring back at him. A week's worth of stubble covered his chin, and his eyes looked sunken and tired. He had no idea what had happened to him. John frantically searched his pockets for any clues, but all he found was a hotel key card and a cryptic note with a single phrase, "They're looking for you." Suddenly, his phone buzzed with an incoming text message. The number was unknown, but the message sent a chill down his spine. "You're wanted for murder." John's eyes widened as he stared at the text message. Murder? What was the person talking about? He didn't remember committing a crime, let alone murder. He tried to call the number back, but it went straight to voicemail. Frustrated, John threw his phone onto the bed and began to pace around the room. Think, John, think. What happened to you? How did you end up here? But his mind was a complete blank. He couldn't remember anything from the past week. Just as he was starting to feel like he was losing his mind, John heard a knock at the door. He hesitated for a moment, wondering if he should answer it. But something compelled him to open the door. To his surprise, a woman stood in the hallway, looking around nervously. She was dressed in a business suit and carried a briefcase. "Can I help you?" John asked, trying to sound calm. The woman looked at him with a mixture of surprise and concern. "John, what's going on? I've been trying to reach you for days." John shook his head. I don't know. I don't remember anything." The woman's expression softened.
"Oh, John.
"You're in trouble." The woman's words sent a chill down John's spine. "What do you mean?" John asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The woman glanced around the hallway nervously before stepping inside the room. "My name is Sarah," she said, her voice low. "I'm a lawyer. We've been working together on a case." John's mind was blank. "I don't remember," John said, feeling a wave of frustration. Sarah nodded. "I know. You've been experiencing memory loss. But you have to listen to me, John. Your life is in danger." John's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" Sarah hesitated before pulling out a folder from her briefcase. "This is the case we've been working on. It involves a large corporation and a murder." John's heart skipped a beat. "Murder," he repeated. Sarah nodded.
"Yes."
"And the police think you're the killer." John's eyes widened in horror. "That's impossible," John said. "I don't remember anything." Sarah's expression was grim. "I know, but we have to get you out of here."
"Now?"
Sarah grabbed John's arm and pulled him towards the door. "Come on, we have to go," she said, her voice urgent. John stumbled after her, still trying to process what was happening. As they reached the hallway, Sarah pulled out a key card and swiped it through the lock. "This way," she said, pushing open the door to the stairwell. They ran down the stairs, their footsteps echoing off the walls. John's mind was racing with questions. Who was Sarah? Why was she helping him? And what had really happened to him? As they reached the bottom of the stairs, Sarah pushed open the door and pulled John out into the cool night air. A car was waiting for them, engine running. Sarah pushed John into the passenger seat and jumped in behind the wheel. As they sped away from the hotel, John looked back to see a group of men in suits running out of the lobby. "Who are they?" John asked, his heart racing. Sarah's eyes met his in the rear-view mirror. As they drove through the city, Sarah expertly navigating the streets, John's mind was racing with questions. "Who am I?" John asked, feeling a sense of desperation. Sarah glanced at him, her expression sympathetic. "You're John Taylor, a former CIA agent," she said. "You've been working as a private investigator for the past few years." John's eyes widened. "A CIA agent," he repeated. Sarah nodded.
Yes.
"You were involved in some high-level operations before you left the agency?" John's mind was reeling. He couldn't remember anything about his past, let alone being a CIA agent. "What happened to me?" John asked, feeling a sense of frustration. Sarah hesitated before answering. "You were involved in a case that went wrong," she said. "You suffered a head injury and you've been experiencing memory loss ever since." John's eyes narrowed. "What case?" he asked, his voice firm. Sarah glanced at him nervously. "I'm not sure I should tell you," she said. "It's complicated." John's expression turned grim.
"Tell me," he said.
Sarah hesitated, clearly unsure if she should reveal more information. "Please, Sarah," John said, his voice firm. "I need to know what's going on." Sarah took a deep breath before speaking. "You were investigating a classified case involving a powerful corporation," she said. "They were accused of embezzlement and money laundering." John's eyes narrowed. "What's the name of the corporation?" he asked. Sarah glanced around nervously before answering. "Omnicorp," she whispered. John's eyes widened.
"I've heard of them," he said.
"They're one of the biggest corporations in the world." Sarah nodded. "Yes, and they'll stop at nothing to protect their interests." John's mind was racing with questions. "What does this have to do with the murder?" he asked. Sarah's expression turned grim. "You are getting close to uncovering evidence of Omnicorp's wrongdoing," she said. And then the murder happened." John's eyes narrowed. "I didn't commit the murder," he said firmly. Sarah nodded. "I believe you, John," she said. "But we need to prove it." Sarah pulled out a small laptop from her bag and opened it. "I managed to get my hands on some surveillance footage from the night of the murder," she said. John leaned in, his eyes fixed on the screen. The footage showed a figure entering the building where the murder took place. John's eyes widened as he realized the figure was him. But something didn't add up. "I don't remember doing that," John said, feeling a sense of unease. Sarah nodded. "I know," she said. "But look at this." She pointed to a figure in the background, partially hidden by a pillar. John's eyes narrowed.
"Who's that?" he asked.
Sarah's expression turned grim.
"I'm not sure," she said.
"But I think they might be the real killer." John's eyes were fixed on the figure in the background. "Can you enhance the image?"
John asked.
Sarah nodded and started typing away on her laptop. After a few minutes, she showed John the enhanced image. The figure was still partially hidden, but John could make out some distinctive features. "It's a woman," John said. Sarah nodded. "I think you're right," she said. John's mind was racing with questions. Who is this woman? And what was her connection to the murder? Suddenly, Sarah's phone rang. She answered it, listened for a moment, and then hung up. "What is it?" John asked. Sarah's expression was grim. "That was my source," she said. "The police are closing in on our location." Sarah quickly gathered her things and motioned for John to follow her. "We have to get out of here now," she said. John didn't need to be told twice. He followed Sarah out of the hotel room and into the hallway. As they reached the stairwell, John could hear the sound of police sirens outside. Sarah pushed open the door to the parking garage and led John to a waiting car. They sped out of the garage just as the police were arriving. John looked back to see the police surrounding the hotel. "That was close," Sarah said, her eyes fixed on the road. John nodded, his heart still racing. But as they drove away from the hotel, John couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. He looked around, but saw nothing suspicious. Still, the feeling persisted. Sarah drove for what felt like hours, taking a series of twists and turns through the city. John was starting to feel a sense of unease. "Where are we going?" he asked. Sarah glanced in the rearview mirror.
"Someplace safe," she said.
After a few more minutes of driving, Sarah pulled up to a nondescript building on the outskirts of the city. She led John inside, where they were greeted by a heavily armed guard. "Welcome to the safe house," Sarah said. John looked around, taking in the sparse furnishings and the bank of security monitors on the wall. "This is where we'll be hiding out for a while," Sarah said. John nodded, still trying to process everything that had happened. But as he looked at Sarah, he saw something in her eyes that gave him pause. A hint of uncertainty, a glimmer of fear. John's eyes locked onto Sarah's, searching for answers. "What's going on, Sarah?" John asked, his voice low. "What's really going on?" Sarah hesitated, looking around the room nervously.
"I told you, John," she said.
"We're in hiding. The police are looking for you." John shook his head.
"That's not what I mean," he said.
"I mean, what's your connection to all of this? Why are you helping me?" Sarah's expression changed, and for a moment, John saw a glimmer of something else. Something that looked almost like guilt. "I'm helping you because I have to," Sarah said finally. "Because I owe you." John's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" he asked. But Sarah just shook her head. "I'll tell you everything, John," she said. "But not yet. First, we need to get you safe." Sarah pulled out a secure phone from her bag and dialed a number. "Hello," a voice answered. "It's me," Sarah said. "I have him." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Good," the voice said. "Bring him in." Sarah nodded, even though the person on the other end of the line couldn't see her. "I'll be there soon," she said. She hung up the phone and turned to John. "We need to move," she said. "Now." John nodded, still feeling a sense of unease.
Who was Sarah talking to?
And where were they going? Sarah led John out of the safe house and into a waiting car. As they drove, John tried to ask Sarah more questions, but she just shook her head.
"We're almost there," she said.
After a few minutes of driving, they arrived at a heavily fortified facility. The sign above the entrance read Ravenwood Research Facility. John's eyes narrowed. "What is this place?" he asked. Sarah just smiled. "You'll see," she said. As they entered the facility, John was greeted by a team of heavily armed guards. They escorted him and Sarah to a secure elevator, which took them deep beneath the facility. When the doors opened, John found himself in a state-of-the-art laboratory. A figure in a white lab coat turned to greet him. "Welcome, John," the figure said. John's eyes widened as he realized who it was. The figure in the white lab coat smiled warmly. "Hello, John," Dr. Samantha Taylor said. "It's been a long time." John's eyes widened in shock. "Sam," he stammered. "Is that you?" Dr. Taylor nodded.
"It's me, John," she said.
"Your sister?" John's mind reeled as he tried to process this revelation. He hadn't seen his sister in years, not since their parents' death. What was she doing here? And how was she involved in all of this? Dr. Taylor's eyes locked onto John's, filled with a mix of emotions. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you about my work here, John," she said. "But I had to keep it a secret." John's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" he asked. Dr. Taylor took a deep breath before speaking. "Our parents didn't die in that car accident, John," she said. "They were murdered." John's eyes widened in shock. "What?" he stammered. Dr. Taylor nodded. They were working on a top-secret project, and someone killed them to silence them. John's mind reeled as he tried to process this revelation. He had always thought his parents' death was an accident. But now, it seemed like there was more to the story. Dr. Taylor's eyes locked onto John's, filled with determination. "I've been working to uncover the truth about our parents' death, John," she said. "And I think I've finally found it." John's eyes narrowed. "What is it?" he asked. Dr. Taylor took a deep breath before speaking. "Our parents were working on a project called Eclipse," she said. It was a top-secret government project aimed at creating a new form of mind control. John's eyes widened in shock. "Mind control?" he repeated. Dr. Taylor nodded.
"Yes.
"And I think that's why they were killed. Someone didn't want them to reveal the truth about Eclipse." John's mind reeled as he tried to process this revelation. He had always thought his parents were just ordinary scientists. But now, it seemed like they were involved in something much bigger and more sinister. Dr. Taylor handed John a small device. "This is a neural recorder," she explained. "It can help restore your memories." John took the device, feeling a mix of hope and skepticism. "Will it work?" he asked. Dr. Taylor nodded. "I've already tested it on you, John," she said. "It's the only reason you're starting to remember things." John's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" he asked. Dr. Taylor smiled. "You've been having memory fragments, John," she said. "Glimpses of your past." John's mind racing. He tried to recall anything. And then, suddenly, a memory flashed into his mind. A memory of a woman with piercing green eyes. John's eyes widened as the memory flashed into his mind. The woman with piercing green eyes was standing in front of him, smiling. He remembered the way she laughed, the way her eyes sparkled. But who is she? John's mind racing. He turned to Dr. Taylor. "Who is she?" he asked, desperation creeping into his voice. Dr. Taylor's expression was sympathetic.
"I don't know, John," she said.
"But I think she might be connected to your past." John's eyes narrowed. "I need to remember more," he said, determination etched on his face. Dr. Taylor nodded. "I'll help you, John," she said. "But we need to be careful. There are people who don't want you to remember." Dr. Taylor handed John a small piece of paper. "I found this in your pocket when you first arrived," she said. "I think it might be a clue." John took the paper, examining it carefully. It appeared to be a receipt from a local coffee shop, but as John looked closer, he noticed a small message scrawled on the back. "Meet me at the old warehouse at midnight. J." John's eyes narrowed. Who wrote this message? And what did it have to do with his past? John's mind was racing with questions. Who was Jay? And what did they want to meet with him about? He looked up at Dr. Taylor. "What do you think this means?" he asked. Dr. Taylor's expression was cautious.
"I'm not sure," she said.
"But I think we should investigate further." John nodded, determination etched on his face. "I'll go to the meeting," he said, "and see what I can find out." Dr. Taylor's eyes widened in alarm. "John, I don't think that's a good idea," she said. But John was resolute. "I have to know what's going on," he said. John made his way to the old warehouse, his heart racing with anticipation. As he approached the entrance, he noticed a figure waiting in the shadows. "Who are you?" John asked, trying to keep his voice steady. The figure stepped forward, revealing a woman with piercing green eyes. "You don't remember me, do you?" she asked, a hint of sadness in her voice. John's eyes narrowed. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't." The woman smiled wistfully. "My name is Maya," she said. "And I've been waiting for you, John." Maya's eyes locked onto John's, filled with a mix of emotions. We were in love, John, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. We were going to run away together, but then something happened. John's mind racing. He tried to remember. What happened? He asked, desperation creeping into his voice. Maya's expression turned somber. You were captured, John, she said, and I thought I'd lost you forever. John's eyes widened as memories began to flood back. He remembered the lab, the experiments, the pain. And he remembered Maya. John's memories came flooding back, and with them, a sense of purpose. We have to get out of here, he said to Maya, his voice firm. Maya nodded, a look of determination on her face. I've been planning our escape for months, she said. Together, they made their way through the warehouse, avoiding guards and security cameras. As they reached the exit, John could feel his heart pounding in his chest. They were almost free, but just as they were about to make their escape, John heard a voice behind them. Stop right there, the voice said. John turned to see a figure emerging from the shadows. A figure he recognized. John's eyes widened as he took in the figure standing before him. It was Dr. Taylor, a look of cold calculation on her face. I'm sorry, John, she said, her voice dripping with malice. But you're not going anywhere. John's mind reeled as he tried to process the betrayal. Why? He demanded, his voice shaking with anger. Dr. Taylor shrugged. You're just a test subject, John, she said. A means to an end. Maya stepped forward, her eyes blazing with fury. You're not going to get away with this, she spat. Dr. Taylor smiled, a cold, cruel smile.
We'll see about that, she said.
And with that, she raised her hand, and John felt a sharp pain in his neck. Everything went black. John's eyes slowly opened, his mind foggy and disoriented. He was lying on a cold, metal table, surrounded by the familiar sights and sounds of the lab. Dr. Taylor stood over him, a look of triumph on her face. Welcome back, John, she said. I see you're just in time for the final phase of the experiment. John struggled to sit up, but his body felt heavy and unresponsive. What have you done to me? He demanded. Dr. Taylor smiled. I've given you a gift, John, she said. The gift of obedience. John's eyes widened in horror as he realized the truth. He was no longer in control of his own actions. John's mind was racing with fear and desperation. He tried to move, but his body wouldn't respond. Dr. Taylor's voice echoed in his mind. You will obey my every command, John. John's eyes locked onto Maya, who was being held captive by the guards. He tried to scream, but his voice was trapped in his mind. Maya's eyes met his, and he saw a glimmer of hope. She mouthed a single word, fight. John's determination ignited. He focused all his energy on resisting the mind control. Slowly, he began to regain control of his body. John's eyes locked onto Dr. Taylor, a fierce determination burning within him. You're not going to control me, he growled, his voice low and menacing. Dr. Taylor's smile faltered, and for a moment, John saw a glimmer of fear in her eyes. The guards moved to restrain him, but John was too quick. With a swift kick, he sent the guards crashing to the ground. Maya took advantage of the distraction to break free from her restraints. Together, they made a run for the door, determined to escape the lab and bring Dr. Taylor to justice. But as they burst through the door, they were met with a shocking sight. An army of mind-controlled agents, all waiting to take them down. John and Maya stood back to back, ready to face the mind-controlled agents. We need to get out of here now, Maya shouted. John nodded, his eyes scanning the room for an escape route. but there was none. The agents closed in, their eyes blank and unresponsive. John and Maya fought bravely, taking down agent after agent. But there were too many. Just when it seemed like all was lost, John heard a loud crash. The lab security system had been activated. Lasers and alarms filled the room, disorienting the agents. John and Maya took advantage of the distraction to make a run for it. They sprinted down the hallway, the agents hot on their heels. But John could hear the sound of reinforcements arriving. The agents were being overridden by a new command. Stop John and Maya at all costs. John and Maya burst through the lab's front doors, gasping for air. They had made it out alive, but they knew the agents would be on their tails soon. As they looked around frantically for an escape route, a black SUV screeched to a halt beside them. The window rolled down, revealing a familiar face. Agent Rachel Morse, the FBI agent who had been investigating Dr. Taylor's lab. "Get in," she shouted. "I'll get you out of here." John and Maya exchanged a wary glance, but they knew they had no other choice. They leapt into the SUV, and Agent Morse sped away from the lab, leaving the agents and chaos behind. But as they caught their breath, John couldn't shake the feeling. Were they really safe? Or had they just traded one danger for another? Agent Morse's eyes met John's in the rearview mirror. "I know what you're thinking," she said. "Why should you trust me?" John nodded, his mind racing with questions. "I'll tell you," Agent Morse said. "I've been investigating Dr. Taylor's lab for months. I know all about the mind control experiments." Maya's eyes narrowed. "What do you plan to do with us?" she asked. Agent Morse's expression turned grim. "I'm going to help you take down Dr. Taylor and her operation," she said. "But first, we need to get you to a safe location." John's eyes locked onto Agent Morse's. "Who are you working with?" he asked. Agent Morse hesitated before responding. "That's need-to-know information," she said. "Let's just say I have my sources." John's instincts screamed warning. Was Agent Morse friend or foe? Agent Morse navigated the SUV through the crowded streets, her eyes constantly scanning the rearview mirror. John and Maya exchanged a wary glance. "Where are we going?" John asked. Agent Morse smiled reassuringly. "A safe house," she said. "You'll be protected there." The SUV turned into a quiet alleyway, stopping in front of a nondescript building. Agent Morse led them inside, where a team of agents was waiting. John's instincts were still on high alert, but Agent Morse seemed to know what she was doing. As they settled into the safe house, John couldn't shake the feeling. They were being watched. Suddenly, Maya grabbed his arm. "What's wrong?" John whispered. Maya's eyes were fixed on Agent Morse. "I think I saw something," she whispered. "A tattoo on her wrist." John's eyes narrowed. "What kind of tattoo?" he asked. Maya's voice was barely audible. "The same symbol we saw on the lab's documents." John's heart sank. Had they just walked into a trap? John's eyes locked onto Agent Morse's wrist, his mind racing with questions. "Agent Morse," he said, his voice low and even. "Can I ask you something?" Agent Morse turned to him, a hint of curiosity on her face. "What is it?" she asked. John's eyes never left her wrist. "The tattoo on your wrist," he said. "What does it mean?" Agent Morse's expression froze, and for a moment, John thought he saw a flicker of fear in her eyes. "It's just a symbol," she said finally, her voice casual. "Means nothing." John's instincts screamed warning. He didn't believe her. Suddenly, Maya's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her eyes widening in shock. "What is it?" John asked. Maya's voice was barely audible. "It's a message from an unknown number," she said. "It says, 'Don't trust Agent Morse.'" John's heart sank. Had they just made a fatal mistake? John's eyes locked onto Agent Morse, his mind racing with questions. "Agent Morse, I need to ask you something," he said, his voice firm. Agent Morse's expression turned wary. "What is it?" she asked. John's eyes never left hers. "Are you working for Dr. Taylor?" he demanded. Agent Morse's face went white, and for a moment, John thought he saw a flash of guilt in her eyes. But then, her expression turned cold and calculating. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said. John's instincts screamed warning. He knew she was lying. Suddenly, Maya's phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen, her eyes widening in shock. "What is it?" John asked. Maya's voice was barely audible. "It's another message," she said. "It says, 'Get out now. Agent Morse is compromised.'" John's heart sank. They had to get out of there fast. John grabbed Maya's hand, and they made a run for the door. "Stop!" Agent Morse shouted, pulling out her gun. John and Maya didn't look back, bursting through the door and sprinting down the hallway. They could hear Agent Morse's footsteps behind them, but they didn't dare look back. They finally reached the stairwell and took the stairs two at a time, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they burst through the front doors, they were greeted by the cool night air. They didn't stop running until they were blocks away from the safe house. Finally, they stopped to catch their breath. "What now?" Maya asked, her eyes scanning the surrounding area. John's mind was racing. They had to get to the bottom of the conspiracy, and they had to do it before Agent Morse and Dr. Taylor caught up with them. John and Maya found themselves in a deserted alleyway, the only sound being the distant hum of the city. "We need to find a way to expose Dr. Taylor and her operation," John said, his mind racing with ideas. Maya nodded in agreement. "But how?" she asked. Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows. "Who are you?" John demanded. The figure stepped forward, revealing a woman with a kind face and a look of determination in her eyes. "My name is Dr. Samantha Jenkins," she said, "and I'm here to help you." John's eyes narrowed. "Why should we trust you?" he asked. Dr. Jenkins smiled. "Because I'm the one who's been sending you messages," she said. "I'm the whistleblower." Maya's eyes widened in surprise.
"What do you know?" she asked.
Dr. Jenkins took a deep breath. "I know everything," she said, "and I'm willing to testify against Dr. Taylor and her operation." John's heart leapt with hope. They finally had the evidence they needed to bring down Dr. Taylor. But as they turned to leave, John heard a faint noise behind them. It was the sound of footsteps, and they were getting closer. John's instincts kicked in, and he pushed Maya and Dr. Jenkins against the wall. "What's wrong?" Maya whispered. John's eyes scanned the alleyway. "I think we're surrounded," he said. Suddenly, Agent Morse and a team of agents emerged from the shadows. "You're not going anywhere," Agent Morse sneered. Dr. Jenkins stood tall, her voice steady. "I have evidence of Dr. Taylor's wrongdoings," she said, "and I'm willing to testify." Agent Morse snorted. "You're just a traitor," she spat. John knew they had to act fast. He spotted a fire escape ladder above them. "Up there," he shouted. Maya and Dr. Jenkins followed him up the ladder as Agent Morse and her team opened fire. They reached the rooftop, gasping for breath. But they knew they couldn't stay there for long. Agent Morse and her team would be on them soon. John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins sprinted across the rooftop, bullets whizzing past their heads. "We need to find a way down." Maya shouted. Dr. Jenkins pointed to a stairwell door. That way, she yelled. They burst through the door, taking the stairs two at a time. But Agent Morse and her team were hot on their heels. John could hear their footsteps, getting closer and closer. Suddenly, Dr. Jenkins stopped on a landing, her eyes locked on something. What is it? John asked. Dr. Jenkins smiled. A ventilation shaft, she said. It leads to the street. John's heart leapt with hope. They might just make it out alive. John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins squeezed into the ventilation shaft, their hearts racing. This way, Dr. Jenkins whispered, leading them through the narrow duct. The air was thick with dust, and John's lungs burned as they crawled deeper into the shaft. Suddenly, they heard the sound of Agent Morse's voice, echoing through the duct. You can't escape, she shouted. John's eyes locked onto Dr. Jenkins. We need to move faster, he whispered. Dr. Jenkins nodded, and they quickened their pace. The shaft began to slope downward, and they found themselves sliding through the duct. John's stomach dropped as they picked up speed. Where were they going to end up? John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins slid out of the ventilation shaft and onto the sidewalk, gasping for air. They looked around frantically, taking in their surroundings. They were in a busy street, surrounded by tall buildings and crowded sidewalks. People rushed past them, oblivious to their presence. John's eyes locked onto a taxicab, pulling up to the curb. That way, he shouted, grabbing Maya and Dr. Jenkins. They sprinted towards the cab, jumping in just as Agent Morse and her team emerged from the ventilation shaft. The cab sped away from the curb, leaving Agent Morse and her team behind. John let out a sigh of relief. They had made it. But for how long? The taxicab sped through the city streets, weaving in and out of traffic. John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins sat in stunned silence, trying to process their narrow escape. Finally, the cab pulled up to a small, nondescript building. Where are we? Maya asked. Dr. Jenkins smiled. A safe haven, she said. A place where we can hide and plan our next move. John's eyes narrowed. Who runs this place? He asked. Dr. Jenkins hesitated before answering. A friend, she said. Someone who can help us take down Dr. Taylor and her operation. John's instincts screamed warning. Could they trust Dr. Jenkins and her mysterious friend? John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins stepped out of the taxi and into the safe haven. The building was small and unassuming, but John could sense a hidden layer of security. Dr. Jenkins led them to a secure room deep within the building. A figure emerged from the shadows. Welcome, the figure said, extending a hand. John's eyes narrowed as he took in the stranger's appearance. The man was tall and imposing, with piercing blue eyes. Who are you? John asked. The stranger smiled. My name is Marcus, he said, and I'm here to help you take down Dr. Taylor. John's instincts were still on high alert. Could they trust Marcus? Or was he just another pawn in Dr. Taylor's game? Marcus leaned against a wall, his eyes locked onto John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins. I've been tracking Dr. Taylor's operation for months, he said. I know her strengths and weaknesses. John's eyes narrowed. What's your plan? He asked. Marcus smiled. We're going to expose Dr. Taylor's operation to the world, he said. We'll gather evidence, build a case, and take it to the authorities. Maya's eyes widened. That's a great plan, she said. But how do we gather evidence? Marcus's smile grew wider. I have a contact on the inside, he said. Someone who's willing to help us take down Dr. Taylor. John's instincts screamed warning. Who was Marcus's contact? And could they be trusted? Marcus pulled out a phone and dialed a number. Who are you calling? John asked. Marcus smiled. My contact, he said. Someone who's been feeding me information about Dr. Taylor's operation. The phone rang for a few moments before a voice answered. Hello, the voice said. Hey, it's me, Marcus said. I need to meet with you. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Okay, the voice said. But be careful. Dr. Taylor is getting suspicious. Marcus nodded, even though the person on the other end of the line couldn't see him. Don't worry, he said. I'll be careful. Marcus hung up the phone and turned to John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins. My contact is willing to meet with us, he said. But we need to be careful. Dr. Taylor is getting desperate. John's eyes narrowed. Who is your contact? He asked. Marcus hesitated before answering. Someone you least expect, he said. Marcus led them to a small cafe on the outskirts of town. Who are we meeting? John asked again. Marcus just smiled. You'll see, he said. They entered the cafe and spotted a figure sitting in the corner. As they approached, the figure looked up. John's eyes widened in shock. It was Agent Rachel Morse, the same Agent Morse who had been chasing them earlier. What is going on? John demanded. Agent Morse stood up, a mixture of emotions on her face. I've been working undercover, she said, gathering evidence to take down Dr. Taylor. John's mind reeled. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Agent Morse's eyes locked onto John's. I know I didn't exactly make a good impression earlier, she said. But I assure you, my intentions are pure. John raised an eyebrow. What made you switch sides? He asked. Agent Morse hesitated before answering. I discovered Dr. Taylor's true intentions, she said. And I knew I had to stop her. Maya's eyes narrowed. What are Dr. Taylor's true intentions? She asked. Agent Morse's expression turned grim. She's planning to use the mind control technology to manipulate world leaders, she said. And I have the evidence to prove it. John's eyes widened in shock. They had stumbled into something much bigger than they had ever imagined. Agent Morse handed John a small USB drive. This contains all the evidence we need to take down Dr. Taylor, she said. John plugged the drive into his phone and began scrolling through the files. Maya and Dr. Jenkins leaned in, their eyes scanning the documents. It's all here, Dr. Jenkins whispered. The research, the testing, the plans for global manipulation. Maya's eyes widened. We have to get this to the authorities, she said. But as they turned to leave, they were met with a surprise. Dr. Taylor stood in the doorway, a sly smile spreading across her face. You'll never stop me, she sneered. Dr. Taylor's eyes locked onto the USB drive in John's hand. You fools, she spat. You think you can stop me with that? John stood tall, the drive held tightly in his fist. We have enough evidence to take you down, he said. Dr. Taylor laughed. You'll never make it out of here alive, she sneered. Suddenly, Agent Morse stepped forward, her gun drawn. I don't think so, Dr. Taylor, she said. Dr. Taylor's smile faltered, and for a moment, John saw a glimmer of fear in her eyes. But then, her expression hardened, and she reached into her pocket. Dr. Taylor pulled out a small device and pressed a button. The room was filled with a blinding light, and John felt himself becoming disoriented. Agent Morse fired her gun, but Dr. Taylor was too quick. She dodged the bullet and made a run for it. John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins gave chase, but Dr. Taylor had a head start. They burst through the doors of the facility, out into the cool night air. Dr. Taylor was already at her car, speeding away from the curb. John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins jumped into Agent Morse's car, peeling out of the parking lot in hot pursuit. The chase was on. Agent Morse floored it, weaving in and out of traffic. John, Maya, and Dr. Jenkins held on for dear life. Dr. Taylor's car was just ahead, speeding down the highway. Suddenly, Dr. Taylor swerved into the next lane, cutting off a truck. The truck skidded to a stop, blocking Agent Morse's path. "What do I do?" Agent Morse shouted. John's eyes locked onto Dr. Taylor's car. "Take the exit," he yelled. Agent Morse yanked the wheel to the right, taking the exit ramp. They sped down the ramp, Dr. Taylor's car just ahead. The road narrowed, winding through a deserted industrial area. Dr. Taylor's car screeched around a corner, Agent Morse right behind. Suddenly, Dr. Taylor's car skidded to a stop. Agent Morse slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. They crashed into Dr. Taylor's car. John's head spun as he struggled to free himself from the wreckage. Maya and Dr. Jenkins were already out of the car, rushing to help Agent Morse. Dr. Taylor emerged from her car, a smirk on her face. "You fools," she spat. "You'll never stop me." John's eyes locked onto Dr. Taylor, his anger boiling over. He charged at her, tackling her to the ground. The two of them rolled around, punching and kicking. Maya and Dr. Jenkins tried to pull John off, but he refused to let go. Agent Morse joined the fray, helping to subdue Dr. Taylor. Finally, they managed to pin her down. "It's over," Agent Morse said, cuffing Dr. Taylor. Dr. Taylor's smile faltered, and for a moment, John saw a glimmer of fear in her eyes. But then, her expression hardened, and she spat at John's feet. "This isn't the end," she snarled. John's eyes narrowed. "Oh, I think it is," he said. And with that, Dr. Taylor was dragged away, her evil plans foiled once and for all.